They gave us about 12 to 15 minutes to sit with the police commissioner and also the chief of detectives who is running this entire investigation. And some significant new information that I can report now is that the suspect, the NYPD believes the suspect is no longer in New York City. They've been able to track his movement. And what they say is that on that bike, remember there's that video from 85th Street, West 85th Street, where he comes down the road, makes a right. They now say that they see the suspect get in a taxi cab and head north. They also say that they have a lot of evidence that they're still working through. Here's some of what they told me.
What has led your investigators to believe that this individual has left New York City?
Our detectives are doing a very, very extensive video canvas. We're working from the Hilton Hotel, from the incident itself, all the way to uptown Manhattan. So we have our perpetrator leaves the Hilton Hotel after the incident takes place. We have them getting on a bicycle and riding into Central Park. We then later pick him up on 77th Street, exiting the park on Central Park West, still with the bicycle. Eventually, we have him on 86th Street and Columbus Avenue, walking. He loses the bike. And then from there, we have him in a taxi cab, and the taxi cab takes him up to 178th Street and Broadway, which, as we know, is a Port Authority bus center. Those buses are interstate buses. That's why we believe he may have left New York City.
Do you know what bus he got on, where that bus was going?
We're working into that, and we're looking into that now. It's a very busy bus terminal. We want to make sure we have the right bus, but we're working through that right now. It's all new information.
And actually, now as we speak, we have a huge canvas going on in Central Park. We still have not found the backpack, and so we're doing a full sweep of Central Park to find that backpack, which we believe he dropped in Central Park. We're using manpower, but we're also using our drones.
I want to get back to that quickly, because this is new information. I think it's important for New York City residents certainly to know that this individual is no longer, you believe he's no longer.
We said we have reason to believe he's no longer in New York City.
And that, I assume, is based on video.
We have video of him entering the Port Authority bus terminal. We don't have any video of him exiting, so we believe he may have gotten on a bus.
Okay, we don't know what bus.
No, not at this time.
Did he say the cab driver, were you able to interview the cab driver, the taxi driver that took him to the...
You know, we want to be careful not to get too far in the weeds of this investigation. It is an active, ongoing investigation.
And so there you go. That's basically the important new information, I think, for investigators right now, that this manhunt is obviously now going to have to expand. The race is on to figure out what bus he got on at the Port Authority bus terminal in Upper Manhattan. Remember, he took a bus here, they believe, got on somewhere at some point, maybe transferred through Atlanta, made his way to New York City, spent about 10 days or so here before committing this horrific crime. And now again, it appears that he has left the same way he came, via a bus. Again, the chief, they're telling me that this was really well planned. This was targeted, and that the suspect here really did a lot of work and preparation before he came to New York City to commit this murder. The other thing I want to stress about is the photo that police released of the man at the hostel. That man, police believe, is the same man that they are looking for in connection with the murder. They believe that is the same individual who shot the CEO. The other thing that's important, they say, is that if you look in that photo from the hostel, he's wearing different clothing. They believe, based on what they can see there, he is wearing different clothing. Again, obviously, it all goes to the preparation here. And the other thing is the NYPD wants to stress is just that the dozens and hundreds, perhaps, of detectives that are now working on this case, that literally one detective could sit in front of a monitor and watch videotape these CCTVs that are all over New York City for hours and hours for just an 8-second clip to try and locate the suspect. They say they're not using AI technology. I know there's a lot of questions about that. They say they're not. So it's painstaking work, really, for these detectives to look through this video. And they also say, the commissioner there told me, there is a lot of evidence, the forensic evidence that they've recovered, the cell phone that they've recovered. She didn't want to get into specifically what they've recovered in terms of fingerprint, DNA, but it's certainly going to help them when eventually they catch the suspect for a criminal prosecution.
Let's bring in the former Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security in the Obama administration, CNN Senior National Security Analyst Juliette Kayyem. Juliette, you wrote an article in the Atlantic magazine titled "The UnitedHealthcare Gunman Understands the Surveillance State," in which you write, quote, "If you can't beat surveillance, overwhelm it. Intentionally or not, the killer has underscored the flaw in 'if you see something, say something,' an approach that floods the system with too much information." Why do you think too much information is a problem here?
So we spent the last sort of 2 or 3 days talking about what the police are doing. And I wanted to address the question, well, what did the killer do to make it possible that we're still talking about a massive manhunt 3 days after a brazen murder in early morning sunlight in the most surveyed city in this country? And what was clear to me then in examining both what the police have told us and in our reporting is both before, during, and after, the killer was keenly aware of how he might be surveyed and adapted to it accordingly. It's not only how he got to New York City or the masking. The silencer, for example, wasn't done because he wanted to hide the murder. It's happening on a street. It was so that passers-by did not recognize that there was a shooting going by, and we've seen that in the videos where bystanders just seem to stand there. In the money shot, as Commissioner Tisch noticed, a number of senior law enforcement agents told the New York Times that even in that instance, it looks like he's camera savvy in the sense that the way that he is even sort of hiding his face, that they cannot seem to get a match. So it seemed to me that, the more technology we have, the more savvy murderers like this may become to eluding it.
So if you think he's savvy in terms of his understanding of the surveillance state, what does that tell you about who he might be?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I like everyone, I believe that he was clearly motivated and a planned killing. I'm not convinced about the motivation. And I just say out loud, people are pretty disgusting to view this as an opportunity to have a long discussion about healthcare at this stage. For all I know, those words on the bullets were also a decoy. What I do know in terms of both what he did and what the reaction is that the system now, and our previous panel said so, is really painstakingly spending time, if not overwhelmed, by the amount of images and tips that are coming in. So he seemed very aware that the system could get overwhelmed. He only needed time. He only needed time to get out of the state. Now he could be anywhere else. And so I just wanted to try to explore that question, not to blame the police, to say, here's the best police department in the United States, in the most surveyed city in the United States, and we're entering day 3. This is a different kind of murder, and it's a different kind of exit by this murder.
The chief of detectives for the NYPD says that the department is not using artificial intelligence to sift through the mountains of video evidence. Is the AI technology not at that phase yet, not at that stage where it could be used in such a way?
I think that's right. I mean, we've always been concerned in safety and in private safety and security. The facial recognition is not ideal. It is not perfect matches. It can miss things because you have to tell it what it's looking for, and sometimes you don't know. And it's that human expertise, that human touch that is really important. That takes a lot of time. And that's what you're seeing with the New York Police Department. This is not at all me saying they should hurry up. It is literally, that is what's happening, is you have a murderer who is evading the surveillance that was put in place to minimize harms and murders. And he's doing so in a way that shows the sophistication of and his knowledge about the surveillance state.
Juliette Kayyem, thanks so much.